Oh yeah, we can wait till after closing and then just go hog out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go out.
Yeah.
Just hit up the dumpsters
Yeah,
before
you
the
got-
raccoons get to them.
Oh, yeah. Well, if we find a Tesla, then we can put it next to it, and the raccoons will get confused, thinking that's a garbage can, and then we can get the pizzas with your light.
Especially if it's a Tesla truck.
Exactly.
Because that thing looks like a rolling dumpster.
Actually, there have been reports where raccoons have tried to break into them because they thought they were.
I'm not surprised.
Dynamite Mike, podcast that you like.
We're back, so you watch the Seahawks?
I did not.
Oh, they're
I'm
going to the
sorry.
Super Bowl this
I know. I heard the good news.
I know, I'm excited for them. Even though I'm not a big Seahawks fan, I'm kind of just a bandwagon guy when they jump on it, but then, I'm a Washingtonian.
Home state. Got to root for them.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're from Oregon.
I was born in Portland, raised in Vancouver.
Okay. Vancouver, Oregon, or Washington?
Oh, Washington. Just right across the river.
Yeah, that's right, because there's
From Portland.
Vancouver, Washington, there's Vancouver, Canada,
Yep.
Vancouver, BC, and I just couldn't remember if there's a Vancouver, Oregon. But-
Nope. Vancouver, Washington was actually before Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
Actually, when Gastown burnt down and they rebuilt, then they called it Vancouver. But it was all named after George Vancouver. A lot of... I was a seasonal park ranger at Fort Vancouver National Historic Site for a couple of years, so we can talk about history of Portland, Vancouver. But that's not what we're here for.
Huh. Well, you're a park ranger. Cool.
Yeah. So I was seasonal.
Nice.
Yep, it was a lot of fun. Actually, I did some historic reenactments. So working in the kitchen, we would cook out of the oven. In the bakery, there's the bakery going on, which is basically hardtack, or else known as sea biscuits, we call them in America. But there's also the blacksmith shop, and they've actually improved the volunteer program with the blacksmiths right now, and so people can actually learn and participate and volunteer and learn blacksmithing. So they've done a wonderful job there. It's a lot of history. Yeah, okay, now my park ranger mind is kicking in.
Well, it reminds me, I went to Fort Clatsop when I was...
Right, that's with Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark, yeah.
About 1806. Anyway, Hudson's Bay Company was a British fur trading company, and that was... Oh, there's so much history of... near Fort Astor with the Northwest Fur Trading Company. Anyway, it came down to Hudson's Bay Company there. That was their business, their headquarters, and John McLaughlin was the chief factor. So it was a business. And you still had the Americans that were coming over. And George Simpson had told John McLaughlin to close the doors, lock the gates, let the Americans starve, go away. But he's a businessman, saying it's a business. Bring him in. Give them credit over the winter. When the spring comes around, they'll plant. When they have their harvest, they can then pay it off. And there's one thing I didn't know at that time was the doctrine of. There's the core of discovery and the doctrine of discovery. No one ever teaches the doctrine of discovery. It's kind of the background of how European countries can claim land. So the core of discovery was Lewis and Clark coming over. Then you also have the Louisiana Purchase. That was not purchasing the land, it was purchasing the deed to the land in a sense. And so Jefferson told Lewis and Clark, continue all the way to the west coast, so that way we can see what's out there, in a sense, lay claim. There's so many bits of history. I'm trying not to bore everybody, so I'm dropping stuff out. But there's a lot of connections. But overall, there's Oregon country, the territory. John McLaughlin was figuring the Columbia River is right there, south of where the fort is. 1824 is up where the blind school is now. And then it had moved down to... I guess 1824 is when it moved, but it moved down to the floodplains. They figured that was a great saving of finances because it was like eating gold. At Victoria, where the fort was, they said it was like eating gold because it cost so much to ship food in. But anyway, John McLaughlin would send everybody down to Oregon City. If the Americans are coming in, let them go down there. Let that be part of America because the Columbia River would be a natural boundary line. well, the Americans at the time were saying, with 54-40 or fight, which is up in Canada. And it wasn't until, I think it was a German delegate that said, you already got a line that's kind of already going across, just go straight across. And that's where the line was divided. And then they realized they couldn't have their headquarters for their fur trading company on United States soil, so it was moved up to Victoria. And so you can still go up to Victoria?
Yeah.
Victoria, Vancouver? Yeah, Victoria. You still go up there, and they still have the Hudson's Bay Company up there. But anyway, there's a lot of history that was British, so the Americans don't teach it. But because it was on American soil, you don't have the English-rooted telling the story. So it's kind of lost a little bit in history unless you find someone who studies it, or come to Fort Vancouver National Historic Site and take a tour and see the buildings, or the buildings that have been reconstructed. Anyway,
That's
yada, yada,
fascinating.
yada.
So it really is, because I mean, when I was younger, I wouldn't have thought that. I was like, oh, boring history. But now I think of it, I'm like, okay, so in this time, at that time, this was some Wild West time. You got all these American immigrants coming across the plains. You got the Hudson Bay Company. This is a British company.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a British company, and they're like, yeah, this is pretty wild land here, even though Americans are claiming the deed, and they're sending all these immigrants, but we still have to deal with them. But so he still did a good business deal by helping them survive the winter, and then he just up and moved to Canada, so he didn't have to deal with the Americans.
Well, he actually retired and moved to Oregon City. He had property, but I think he had to buy his property, I'm not sure the exact amount of times, but a couple times, because the Americans weren't honoring his deed that he had paid. So, so he's known as the father of Oregon because he helped the Americans come into Oregon Territory and start. So he's been given the honor, but at the time, he wasn't seen as... He was a foreigner to the Americans, so they weren't giving him the honor. Anyway, it's the doctrine discovery is what people really don't know about, and that's why when Lewis and Clark had come across with the Corridor discovery, they were not allowed to stay in pre-made lodges, or they had to make their own fort. They needed to trade with their goods, and all this is to establish that they were there. So that way they could lay claim, because there's like 10 or 13 different things you have to do and qualify to lay claim. Well, you also had the Northwestern Company, which was kind of preceding Hudson's Bay. Then, anyway, because England and United States are both fighting for the territory, laying claim of who stuck their flag in first to lay claim. There's such a discussion going on, political discussion, that's why it was the Oregon Territory for so long. And one thing we don't understand, in one aspect, you can sit there and say, well, the Native Americans, it's their land, it got taken away from them. Because you had to have enough people on, almost the way it was set up, there's no way that they were able to fight for their own land. So they think they're fighting for their land and helping the people that are helping them fight for their land. But the doctrine of discovery, being able to choose territory, you realize natives didn't really have a chance. They weren't even considered into it, which sounds horrible. But you realize the governing laws that were being put in place to make those decisions is what they were following. There's a great book, trying to come to my mind, Manifest Destiny, Travels of Lewis and Clark. It was written by a Native American lawyer, and he wrote it not to be a history book. He wrote it to be able to talk about the different cases that had come through the court that creates a precedence of how laws are, in court looked upon and reacted to. And so he wanted people to realize what had happened to get to the point to where we're at today, and also to help advocate. He would actually go to Washington and talk and educate the people in Washington, D.C., because they have no clue. They're on the east side. They have different things. They're busy. They're doing laws. History-wise, they wouldn't have probably learned it. So it was a fascinating book from his telling, and that's where I started understanding the Doctrine of Discovery, I guess you can just kind of blatantly say that. But it's kind of like we have the same board, same game board. Someone's playing chess, someone's playing checkers. If you don't know chess, you're trying to play checkers, you're like, wait a minute, that's the wrong move. You can't do that. So always understand the playing field that you're on, understand the laws, then you can actually make changes. But if you just look and say, well, this is how I play it, I don't know what you're doing, I'm just ignore what you're doing, you could be hurting yourself more than helping. Anyway, that's way off the topic of where we're going.
That's what's fun about the long-form podcast.
Yeah, and it's
You
been
can explore all these topics.
decades since I've been there. So I moved to Spokane in winter of 1999. So you're looking at 25 years, almost 30 years when I had done that. But some of the history sticks, some of it kind of fades.
Yeah.
Of course, just getting older fades.
Yeah, that happens.
But no, it's understanding. I mean, in school, history seemed boring because all it was numbers and names.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually start looking at it and realize those names belong to people, those people made decisions, those decisions happened at certain dates, then it starts getting interesting because now you see the drama, the political stuff going on, the either helping or the backstabbing, and that's when it starts becoming real.
Mm-hmm. And what's exciting about things back then is it was just more savage and more brutal. You know, it wasn't like today. There's no political correctness.
People are people. I mean, even you go back and think about, Greek history. History. People are still people. Of course, Americans think different than some of the European countries. Yeah. But overall, it's all about survival, and it's about the people that you are, the culture that you're in, and how you deal with other people. Some are very helpful, some are very protective. But even today we look and we say we're more civilized. But sometimes when you become more civilized, you're more cunning. You're not as blatant. Where sometimes when you look at people being savage, well, you know exactly what's happening to you. I'll give an example, which is when I worked at a company, and pretty much people, they worked, when they got their paycheck, they went to the bars, they hoped they had enough money to pay their bills afterwards. I grew up, and most of the work I had done was you got your paycheck, you pay your bills, and then whatever discretionary income you have, you can choose what to do. But when I was working at that company, I never had to worry about being backstabbed. If someone didn't like you, they told you right up front. And you knew, and you kind of had to survive with where you're at, whatever decisions you make, but it was right there. And another company I worked at, it was all very civil. Everyone was nice to each other. But it was easier to get backstabbed by somebody because they never talked to you straight up front. And so it was interesting seeing these two different worlds, and you kind of have to adjust wherever you work, what kind of environment you're in. But there's still, people are people. People generally want to help each other. But if they are taken advantage of, then, so shorter fuses maybe back then because your life is more on the line, where today life is not as on the line. I mean, if I lose my job, I have to put money away that I can survive a couple months and find a new job. But if you're out in the wilderness, I'm just thinking of an old trapper. The weather as a condition, what food you have, survival is a little bit more immediate in whatever situations you have. And now I'm rambling.
No, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine to ramble. And it's good to think about these things. And then you learn about these older decision makers, and as you have to solve problems, business problems later on in life, or learn some sort of science, you learn that, man, these guys really were onto something. This was smart for their time, or this was really ingenious, or this was a bad idea. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of things.
Question is whose agenda? What you're doing, is it interfering with somebody's agenda has a larger picture or not? Will you fall onto their radar that they will either help or hinder you, or are you small enough that no one cares and you get to do what you want to do?
Yeah, and in some ways, I kind of think I like the people that are upfront and honest, the blunt people. I was thinking about this because I hear this all the time, especially people back in the day. They would say like, "My honor, my word as a man." That kind of disappeared now because of credit scores. We have credit scores, so. And like my honor as a man, like that goes back to I'm going to pay you back most of the time. That's what's going to be for.
Yeah, it comes down to, cutting corners. I'll go on another long story here. I was working at a company, and my job was to help with some of the equipment. And so at this time, it was from VHS to DVD. So we had one of those units that you could play either one of them. And I was kind of looking at the technology-wise, thinking, okay, we're switching, it's changing. As technology changes slowly, culture strengthens in traditions. When technology changes rapidly, traditions, culture can't keep up with the change, so there's less emphasis on tradition and the new change. So what could have been happening in the 1950s, saying, okay, this is how we do business. We're not cutting corners because we know in the long run it's going to hurt us. We're going to stay true and do this. Where, in the 2000s, by the time we get some technology started and working on it, figuring it out, it changes, and now we're on to something else. So cutting corners in business became the new way of doing it. I can make more money on this because I'm not going to have to deal with the consequences because technology changes. Not saying that was the first thought that they had, but in the past, you learn from your mistake. We cut corners, look at the problems that other people have had. Let's not cut corners and let's be good. So it came, you come down to now, it's your personal value, your own ethics, and depending on where your ethics have been brought up from. But, my honor, handshake, my word is my honor. But if you're growing up where things change so fast, and I can make these decisions, I can cut these corners, and I've never been burnt by it before, so I'm going to continue cutting corners. Someone else gets burnt by you, then all of a sudden you have this negative spiral of honor to just get what you need to do. I can make more money, I can do this, more money, more power. So now you are able to do so much more, and you don't have to worry about your honor. Matter of fact, I got a contract with that, and if you go against me, I can just get a lawyer to sue you. Where was the honor? Where's the honor now? But what's the incentive to have honor? For me, it's high value. I value that what I say is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the best I can. If I promise, it's kind of a verbal contract. But when if you do a verbal contract and then someone changes their mind and they just want to get out of it, it's easy to lie because now you got to prove yourself in court. Or I can't afford this, so can't afford a lawyer, so now I'm screwed. Now I'm not going to help anybody else out. The negativity just kind of builds upon itself, and that's where it's like everyone has to stop and say, who am I going to be? What am I going to choose? Honor or power? Kind of going off track here.
Well, that's a good lead into a few different things. So first off, it goes back to why a lot of people started puppet shows to begin with, to teach kids values. And I started rewatching some Muppets and Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and I started to realize that they were dealing with the same things of the day. Quick moving technology, things on TV that Fred Rogers didn't approve of, and he was trying to make the world a better place through a kid show. And it's what's also interesting too is how Jim Henson was the first to figure out, like, hey, these hand puppets are best for television, and they're best for this new technology that we have now, and they're just phenomenal for storytelling.
Well, we get 2 points. So you have there, talk about with television, but jump back centuries even before. Puppetry is a form of storytelling. Mm-hmm. Storytelling is the way we communicate. So whether it's through movies, whether it's through puppetry, whether it's through digital animation, whatever it is, it's all about telling stories. We all love stories being told. So traditionally, you have, there's the shadow puppetry that was done from candlelight. So you take the different cultures around and what they've done and where it's brought the various styles of puppetry that we are, looking at today. So Jim Henson, he loved the technology of the television. He wanted to learn more about that. He actually didn't know anything about puppetry. There was a job, he's trying to get a job interview, and there was a ad on the board saying they needed a puppeteer for a project, and he's like, well, if that'll get me to the television to be able to play with this art, then I'll do it. He went down to the library, read up on books for puppeteering, applied, and then went and got him, whichever order it was, but he learned about it. He used the puppet medium to get to the technology he wanted to use. And he found a way to play with that technology. He actually, in time, he kind of felt like he was pigeonholed into working with just kids, kids television. He wanted to be an artist that did more than that. So if you see the movie that was out, they touch on that.
Well, they had Sex and Violence. He created that show, Sex and Violence.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim Henson created that.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't know about that unless you watched his documentary. It was a total flop.
Yeah. Well, he also started with the Muppets. Mm-hmm. I mean, excuse me, not Muppets, the Saturday Night Live. The very first Saturday Night Lives, there was a section where the puppets would come in, but the writers didn't like writing for rags. They're like, people, so they started it. You see a few, it's kind of dull because the writing wasn't that great because they weren't understanding the ability that the puppets could do. Like they said, they already were just dissing it by saying they're just talking rags. But Jim Henson believed in the art, and so he's able to then turn around and bring his own Muppet show, which he had to fight really hard to get people's interest in. And once he was able to break through the barrier, start producing it, then people looked at it and they started wanting to be on. So he had a good idea, just he had to fight hard for it. And then he felt like he got pigeonholed into just with kid stuff. He wanted to be more mature audiences. But we all love him for what he did. So here you have a person who's kind of in turmoil. He has something that's popular, people love him for it, but he feels that he could do more. And he's not getting that opportunity to prove it, or at least what he's trying to do is not being recognized. But anyway, the point is that yes, he did wonderful. He looked at the television as a proscenium and could act within that arena, and it's television has worked wonderful for puppets. The editing, but anyway, it's all about storytelling. You got to have a good story, characters that you believe in, that you love. You might love to hate them, but you're still developing the conflicts, the care, and he understood storytelling.
Yes, and that's something him and some of the other casts of Sesame Street had talked about for years, is they had to develop the character. And you brought this up too. You have to develop that character as you do more scripts with this character, and you find those little nuances. it's kind of like meeting new people for the first time, and you all work together. You're like, yeah, I know your name's Doug, but I don't. I mean, oh, you like baseball, or you like this, or you're like, you don't know these things until the script and seasons go on, and those characters become more refined.
Right. Any new show you watch, even when the new Star Trek came out, you watch that first season, you can see that the actors are still trying to find themselves and relationships with the others. But by the time they get to the second, third season, they found their characters. Then now you're up to the script writers on how well they're going to lead the show in itself that way. But yeah, it's one, finding your own character, but then the purpose. I was thinking, you mentioned Sesame Street, and the purpose of Sesame Street was to teach inner city kids literacy. Mm-hmm. So I've had some people say, well, I want to do a puppet show. Let's make something. Let's do something. And I'll ask them, well, what's your purpose? What is the goal in mind? Just looks like a lot of fun. And yeah, it does. I'd love to do that. But if you don't have a goal in mind of where your vision of where you're heading, then you can get lost in the weeds and have a couple good shows, and then you get lost because the audience is recognizing that you don't know where you're going. It's kind of like with kids. Sometimes we forget how smart they really are. They can kind of see through a lot of things. If you tell someone, oh, you won't understand, it's too complicated, it means you're cutting corners, and others are going to see right through you. So just be honest from the beginning, figure out where you want to go, and try to reach that goal. And with any goal, well, let me jump to a line I remember reading when we were talking about improv, long form. You have short form and long form. Short form is quick, do the scene, you're done. Long form, you can have it, 20, 30, 40 minutes longer because you're building a structure, but it's all being improvised. But now I started going off on a tangent and get back to where I was at, reel back. Oh, that's right. The classic movies, the ones that we've seen, the stories, you're allowed one lie, and then everything has to be organic. Meaning you're able to enter into a world of make-believe, of magic, of whatever the mechanics of the world that you're entering in. It's different than our world. And, unicorns fly. Okay, fine. You accept this world. That's your lie. But everything else has to be organic. And so if you're doing a story and all of a sudden at the end you're like, oh, how are we going to do this? The cavalry's just going to come in from left and save the day. You're like, well, that was never built up. That part of the story, they were saved. And you get lost, and then it doesn't become a classic because you basically told another lie at the end to get yourself out of the story. I think one of my favorite ways to explain this is Monty Python. They did a wonderful job in many examples, and there's The Life of Brian. And spoiler here for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's been out for so long that I'm not going to worry about that. But there's a scene where Brian, who in this case was born same time as Jesus, so the whole plot is that people keep coming to Brian thinking that he's the Messiah, and he's like, no, that's not me. It's, but anyway, just this mistaken identity which causes the conflict through the movie. Yeah. And there's a scene where there's a mute man in a hole. That's really funny. I'm not even going to explain that one, but you got to see the movie. You'll understand. If you like Monty Python. Anyway, there's a point where Brian's up on second floor. Things are happening. He falls out a window. Well, now you're like, here you have your main character. He's falling out the window. He's going to die or hurt or whatever. And before he hits the ground, a little UFO comes and he falls on the UFO, and aliens are looking like, well, who's this? I don't know. And then they kick him out. So he has a gentle landing. If you're looking at biblical times and you have a UFO come in the middle, it's like it doesn't make sense. Yeah. It doesn't work. It works with Monty Python because Monty Python always has things coming. Exactly. Yeah. But just that.
It's a comedy, too. You can do that with comedies.
Right.
You can get away with that.
So, but in this storyline, it's a great example of if you're trying to be serious to tell a story and you have a situation that's going on and you've not talked about UFOs or aliens, it's just a Camelot scene and you have unicorns and talking fairies and
Middle Earth.
yeah, yeah, exactly. If a UFO came flying into Tolkien's world to save,
Yeah, that would be weird. That would ruin the whole
ruin
thing.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I say you can tell the lie at the beginning, and you have to be organic all the way to the end, and that creates a good story. And that's not my revelation. It was out of the books I was reading when I was studying improv, and using that within a scene, bringing it back to puppetry and the scenes, is whatever scene you do. You can start off in the beginning with quickly setting your environment, but you have to be honest through it. And your puppets, when they have a character, they starts out, you have something, the audience is kind of looking at it, they're kind of ambiguous. It's like, oh, do I like them, do I not? I don't know, kind of see. And then you get into this stage, it's called kind of dork stage. It's like, okay, is this character lovable or is the character geeky? What's going on? It's kind of a stupid character, maybe awkward. But when the character continues and it becomes believable, that is the character, then it turns into an awesome character. I was like using Gilligan's Island. Gilligan, he was always causing problems, but you never blamed Gilligan for doing these things on purpose. You accepted that his character accidentally did all these things. He was believable. It was an excellent character. And you passed, from who cares to it's a dork to it's an awesome character. One of my favorite is Alf.
Yeah.
Alien life form.
Yeah, eat the cats. All
Yeah.
the time.
I mean,
That's
he was.
my dad's favorite.
Yeah. It's an alien. Okay, it's a fuzzy alien. All right. But you just love him, whether
I miss
you.
that show.
I know.
I wish they'd bring it back.
DVD.
And he was a puppet too.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
You had the different puppets and the costume with the actor. Let me jump into a puppet. So people say, what is a puppet? The definition that I've clombed onto is that a puppet is an inanimate actor. You can look at a doll. What's a doll? A doll sits on a shelf. It looks like it could be a puppet. Well, it's a doll. It's a toy. It sits on the shelf. It doesn't do anything. But if you grab that item and you use it in a story and it becomes part of the story, it now is a puppet. So you can sit there and go, well, if it doesn't do anything, it's a doll. Yeah. But the same thing is doing something. It's now a puppet. So there's times we look at a Muppet and you say, well, that's a puppet. Immediately it's a puppet. Why? Because you expect it to move. You expect it to do something. Where a doll sitting on a shelf, you don't expect it to move. So that's why it's immediately a doll. But that's my definition between, puppet versus non-puppet is inanimate object that's acting. It can be a chair. The chair breathes. You see it move, comes to life. It's not a living thing, but the illusion is there. And that's what I love most about puppetry, is the illusion of life that we then breathe characteristics into, and then it becomes a character. And we then start trusting the character. You have two-dimensional and three-dimensional characters. Charlie Brown, Snoopy, a lot of your comics, they're very two-dimensional. Story with Star Wars, Harrison Ford, Han Solo. He didn't really care for Han Solo. It was very two-dimensional. He actually had asked the director, can we kill my character off at the end? The original trilogy part. Huh. And he's like, no, we're not going to do that. But you had the ghostly, everybody's there with the ghostly, those that have died and all that. But it's like, no, because he didn't, it was two-dimensional for him. What he loved was Indiana Jones. That was a real three-dimensional character that he loved to play. So when you look at Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Lucy, Linus, Woodstock, when they did something in the comic, it fit their character. Luke Skywalker was always, I'm jumping around here, trying to get the characters, but Luke was a whiny kid in the beginning of Star Wars.
Yeah, totally.
Just whiny.
Yeah.
So he had this arc that he had to change. The events had to make him change from a whiny kid to be the hero of the story. Well, in Charlie Brown doesn't change. He is who he is at the beginning, and he is who he is at the end. He's the one that just gets the bad luck, in a sense. Lucy is always very confident. She's the one who's going to pull the football away. You always want her to not. You want him to be able to kick that football, but she always pulls it away. I think they finally did a scene once where it did, and you're like, okay, got it once. But there's that expectation that you have, and you work with the character. When they're two-dimensional, it helps in telling a story, because this is what we expect this character to do. A three-dimensional character, there's different reasonings and everything, and it's totally different in how a two-dimensional always carries on that same characteristic. And I'm circling the field and not landing on that.
It's nice when, that's good, and it's nice when that they can have a character. Like, I'm thinking Family Guy. I mean, they have certain characters, and they have this typecast, but when they want to do a special episode on that character and how, like, Cleveland lives his life or whatever, then they can make that character more three-dimensional. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. The reason my mind is jumping off is that I started thinking about therapy. When you work with a person, generally, a child, but it could be anyone. When you do puppet therapy, kids will usually talk to the puppet more than they will the therapist. Mm-hmm. Because, in a sense, they kind of build a rapport. They know this puppet is very helpful, very kind. And when they see that puppet, that's the character. It's kind, it's helpful. I feel I can talk to that puppet. The therapist, three-dimensional, this is a person, they act nice, but then are they looking funny? Can I really trust this person? They seem to be a nice person, but do I really want to share my inner thoughts? But that way, when you get a character that you can trust, then that's why puppet therapy works well, or even object therapy, because you're able to get the patient or the child to open up and say, well, this is what I'm feeling, and this is why it hurt my feelings, or this is what I think is fun. And then they're able to let that out, and you can then work with the situation to help better the situation. Anyway, that's why I started rambling, because all of a sudden I'm going from Harrison Ford, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Indiana Jones to thinking all of a sudden about kids and therapy.
Good keywords. All good things to cover.
Yeah, there's just so much that can go through, but it's life. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love improv theater so much, is because every day we improv. We don't think about it because we don't know what the night's going to be like. Today I had a meeting with you. That was on my schedule, but what are we going to talk about? So far, no meteorite has come crashing down on top of the building to really interrupt us. So that would really change today's conversation. Maybe put a quick end to it. But you deal with whatever situations are happening at the time. And so you take that spontaneity, that listening in the moment, you turn that into scripts and working with the puppets, and the puppets are listening if you're doing improv. But if you're going to be doing a play that's already set up and you have scripting, it's just like acting. Be in the moment. What's happening? And the biggest thing I say when I teach improv with kids and adults, you are not the character. It might be 99% you. I kind of took this quote from Glenn Close. Chase. Glenn Close. Anyway. Don Chase. Now the names are all getting out. In improver many, many years ago, he's Don Chase. It could be 99% you on stage, but it's never 100% you, because you are the agent to that character. If that character is not the brightest bulb in the pack, play that character how that character would be. Stop worrying about you looking stupid on stage, Because once you feel that you're looking stupid on stage, you don't want people to think you're stupid, so you'll break that fourth wall to let someone know that this isn't me. And right there instantly, the character is dead and you look dumb because you're so worried about yourself. You have to let go, be the agent of that character. So those that act on stage, they're using their body, their whole emotions, the movements they do to make that character believable. A puppeteer, we don't have all that ability to move certain things. If you have a soft-mouthed puppet, like a lot of the Muppets are, mouth moves, you might even have them blink or the eyebrows go up, depending how technical it gets, but you don't have the small nuances as we do as humans. Arms can move, but they're not going to be as three-dimensional as a person. If you're doing rod puppetry, the mouth might not even move. So how do you make sure that people are focusing on the right puppet at the time they're talking and not get overly confused of what's going on? Because their facial features are not moving. But when you have people who understand the art and they're doing a great job, you still get the whole story through. The emotions come through, and your mind sees them as living creatures telling that story, and you get sucked right into the storyline.
Right,
I love it. So that's where it's so important to realize, as the actor, the puppeteer, it's not you. It's channeling through you to being what's seen. So you are the agent to that character. You can think, matter of fact, if the character is not as smart as you, it gives you an advantage because you can think so many things in your head and choose what misadventure this one's going to go on because of their lack of knowledge. But you know it, but it's going to create the situation and be more believable. I think the hardest is when you actually have a character that's smarter than you, and now you have to try to reach that level. It's like, well, that's where you go do research and you make yourself smart enough to be able to get that believability. My daughter, she has a degree of theater, and she says she has a 4-year degree of not make-believe, but pretending. She has a 4-year degree at pretending, and she does a beautiful job. But that's what we do. We pretend in the situation. We try to make it believable, and when audiences can connect, and the director and the whole team, you have an actor, you have your crew, you have lighting, mics, sewing, sets, everything that goes on. That builds the scene. The actor is just what everybody sees. Same with puppetry. You have the puppet that people see, but there's so much that's going on behind, whether there is a set or whether you're using green screen and now you have to use the computer to digitize the background. You still have that crew that's helping that puppet, but it's an inanimate object that's acting that we have brought life into.
Yeah. So there a lot of good things, and I'm going to have to touch on some of those points too. When I was at the last Few event, I don't know if I'm sure you've experienced something like this, but the differences in people talking to them with a puppet. So I went to the Filmmakers of Eastern Washington event last month. They had one of their monthly mixers, and there was plenty of actors, actresses, and people within the film world. And I took the data mole, and I was just talking to people. And I noticed that the actors were all about it. Mm-hmm. They were all about it. But the behind-the-scenes people did not like it. And they let me know, I don't like talking to puppets. They were snippy about it and stuff. And okay, whatever. I thought that was really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting that I talked to ChatGPT about it. I'm like, what do you think about this, ChatGPT? And it gave me a whole thing. I don't know. So what have you noticed that?
Oh, definitely. You have those that will step into the land of make-believe immediately. It's like, oh, it's a character. I'll talk. Let's have fun. Let's play in the sandbox together. And they accept it, and it works great. There's others that it's like, it's an inanimate object. That's not a real person. It's not, I don't want to be fooled. Anyone to think that I'm fooled by it. I'm not going to accept it as something to talk to. I was trying to think of which movie it was. I think it was, I think I'm correctly, David Bowie with the Muppets when they did.
Oh, Dark Crystal.
Well, Labyrinth.
Oh, Labyrinth.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, my mind just all of a sudden jumped to the Dark Crystal, then it jumped to the Age of Resistance with Netflix, and I met Toby Froud and was able to talk with him. And this was right when the pandemic was happening, everything shut down, and we were all waiting to find out if there's going to be a second season of the Age of Resistance. You're thinking, the sets are all made, the puppets are made, all you have to do is just do another story. It's so inexpensive compared to the first year of building everything. Like, they have to have a second season because it just, scripts are ready, actors are ready, sets are built. It's so inexpensive now, and it never happened. Anyway, that was a tangent, a rant that I jumped on my soapbox. But anyway, back to I think it was David Bowie. I've heard other people who have worked, other actors who have worked with puppetry. They first walk in and they're like, what? Why? What am I? It's kind of like here. If I talk to this critter, it's like it's not going to talk back to me.
Yeah.
Now, in my mind with creativity, I'm thinking different characters and it's talking, but for someone who looks at that and says that is an inanimate object now, I mean, it's mounted. Why would I spend my time talking to it? It's not going to answer back. Matter of fact, it's not going to even help my day. And so you have this mentality, and they're like, great, it's puppets. Also, sometimes the sounds weren't coming. The person who's talking is not the puppeteer. It's going to be a different voice. Anyway, the point is that you have the puppet going, you have someone else talking, and they're like, what's going on? As they continued to work, all of a sudden that character, that puppet, came to life. They started understanding its personality, and then it was fun to interact with them, and had a wonderful time with it. And you see the interactions and the beauty and the illusion of life that was created through the story. But at the beginning, there was resistance of, what in the world am I doing? Myself growing up with puppetry, Jim Henson and the Muppet Show and Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. I mean, I've always loved puppetry. For me, a character is a character, and I'm ready to jump in and have fun and talk. But I also have friends that, one friend of mine, he would talk to the puppet, and he, myself, my wife, and I had a Roxanne the Rat puppet. And one time he's like, I know Doug's talking, but I'm not going to let that puppet win.
Mm-hmm.
So this conversation went on. There's one night my wife came to me and she handed me the backpack, which that's where Roxanne the Rat lives in. And she goes, I want to talk with Roxanne. I don't want to talk with you. I just want to talk with Roxanne. So here I am. Roxanne's talking with her as a friend. And so I just had to stay quiet and sit in the corner in a sense. But then I have another friend who, there's some mental situations within that he's had to deal with in his life. And when I had brought the puppet out and was talking, he's like, I recognize there's a puppet. It can be kind of fun, a little bit of talking with it, because I have situations in my life that I've had to deal with. I cannot allow myself to go further, so we have to stop. So in that situation, he couldn't let himself go because of certain things in the past, but he recognized it, which was really cool, and was able to verbalize that. We were like, okay, great, okay, fine. No, we're not going to push this issue. And then from that point on, we would talk about things, but I talked with him. I never brought a puppet in to do it, unless he asked or he's come and seen some shows. But there is a level that sometimes it's not just, I'm not going to deal with it. It's, I can't allow myself to go that way because of past situations.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not sure where that kind of went to.
No, well, it goes back to therapy. Like, you pull out a puppet, and therapy was, and maybe in his case, who knows? Maybe you had to use that puppet, a therapy puppet in the past. And maybe that was bringing up something.
He didn't have puppetry in the past. It was, I think there was a little bit more of, I don't want to say hearing voices, that's not the point, but different advice thinking that comes mentally from inside. It's like, are these my thoughts, not my thoughts? So at that point, it still comes down to therapy, but you have to be able to work things out through yourself.
Oh, gotcha.
And so, but the people you were talking about are basically ones who are technical minded. They have to make sure that things are running on time, on schedule. If things don't happen, then it falls apart on stage, or could, so it's very technical minded. And at that time, there's not a lot of play in those serious moments. So the first thing you do is you look, you analyze, felt, person next to it. I don't have time for you. I got other stuff to do. But if they are away from the job and relaxed, maybe around their kids running around, they would entertain it more. So sometimes it's the surroundings that you're at, or what a person feels they're going to be seen and perceived as. Mm-hmm. That's why when I'm working on stage with actors and at any age, I always say, you are the agent for the character on stage. Stop worrying about yourself or what you're being seen as. If you're thinking about you, you're out of the moment. You're not the one. It's the puppet. Recently, with a local theater, we had the musical Rudolph. And so we built the Bumble puppet. It's an 11-foot puppet, and my wife and daughter were the arms, so they were the side puppeteers. I was inside. And we all three had to work together to build the character, believability of that character on stage.
It's like some Jabba the Hutt thing. They had 3 dudes in Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, yeah, everyone's moving it. But the thing is, we all have to work together to create the illusion of life to that puppet. Not one of us is more important than the other. And we have the cast photo. Everyone's out there, and can't see me. I'm not in the picture because I'm inside the Bumble. But that's fine because it's all about the Bumble, Mm-hmm. I did have a picture where I had pulled the belly up and showed me inside that we've taken for family pictures, and it looks like the internal organs. Like, yeah, we won't put that one in the Christmas card list. But no, it's all about building the character where you do have some prima donna actors that it's about them. They have to be seen. And I'm not trying to diss the actors or not. There's just a lot of people, but one bad apple can ruin the bunch of the whole thing. I've had some puppeteers, they were hired to be a puppeteer to run a puppet where they are seen and they're operating the puppet, but they are so important. They wanted themselves to be seen so much that they start to get depressed by not being noticed. Or now they have to be noticed and big, and you don't notice the puppet.
Yeah.
So it's when the actor can actually step back and let the puppet have its time, that's when it becomes fun. And when it comes to ventriloquism, like you have there, I am not a ventriloquist.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people say, what's a ventriloquist? It's someone who can talk without moving their lips.
And I don't think they're that good at crowd work or improv.
Well,
I think Jeff Dunham's that good at improv.
Well, it's all about not battering.
The banter.
The banter. There we go. I had to drop the bantering with yourself. I can't banter.
Yeah.
I'm so used to having a puppet and talking that once I had built a 3-foot panda bear, ventriloquist style. I built the guts and the inside. My wife made it look beautiful on the outside. But I was showing some people. It was actually at a magic club meeting and kind of sharing what I was doing and asking questions, and people were, and the panda bear is responding back, and finally one guy rose his hand, and yes, you goes, does that guy behind you ever talk or move or do anything? I forgot I was there. I'm so used to my puppet style is not being seen that all my focus was on the panda bear, and it's doing things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And so I tried to do a little talking. I realized I can't banter. I say I can't. I mean, if I really would try hard, I just realized that's a weakness of mine. It's one I haven't tried to do better because I don't plan on being a ventriloquist style. But so for me, my definition of a ventriloquist is someone who can banter well with the puppet. They can act together and talk, keep themselves, keep the character of the vent dummy, and have a great show. And then it comes down to what is the topics that you're going to talk about. Like you're saying, you don't care for Jeff Dunham. It's probably more of the style that he gives, the characters he have. But there's other people that you've probably watched, and you're like, that's really good. Well, now it comes down to personal style and what you're getting out of it. There's some actors I enjoy watching, and there's a few that I can deal without them.
Yeah.
So it comes down to personal taste. So it's finding that niche, same as podcasting. Those that don't care about this, they won't listen. Those that are interested, they'll listen and take tidbits out of it and say, this is good, and maybe that. Or anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So we have this guy right here.
Well, I was thinking you could put one on and we could just talk
Let me
like
see
this
who I
for a
have
little
down
bit.
here.
You just, you talk normal.
Oh,
Or
let's see.
that way we can... Because I did the Datamol voice. Yeah, when I did that event, doing Datamol voice the whole time, I've lost my voice.
So I did hear from a ventriloquist. His advice is when you choose a character, to choose a range that is your normal octave higher or lower. And that would be your main voices, because as you get older and things change and it gets harder to push those other character sounds out, you don't want to lose your character with it. So that was for, same thing with puppets. You have your the voices you do, but I guess I'm not as worried about trying not to, move my lips and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of stuff with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so this here is Brock. He's one of the characters. His last name is like, hi. The hard part I have is that when they're there, it's the character. It's sometimes I can't do his voice when he's not around.
Probably be better off on the other hand.
Yeah, I'm right-handed with that, but
way
you know what? Here we go. He's gonna do. I'm gonna come over carefully.
Oh,
And
okay,
it's so much
just making
quieter,
sure
he is,
that-
and then I'm gonna come over. There we go.
Oh,
and now
nice.
I can talk. Ha! Hi, everybody.
Good one. I like that.
I
like that. Do you have what you want?
It's the arm.
The
Oh,
podcast.
there we go. Well, I'll sit here and share the mic with him. Thank you. And so that's yeah. It's just
Well, let's go back to your first when you first started in puppetry. How did you first get started?
I didn't know him then. No.
No.
No, oh, you're asking him.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. that, yeah.
I've always enjoyed puppetry. When I was a kid, growing up in Portland, there was the zoo. They had a little theater called Ladybug Theater, and kids were able to go in and watch puppet shows. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. I had no idea why. Kid, just life goes on. Eventually, in time, met other puppeteer friends that were older than me, but they were in the know. They knew what happened. There was actually a fire that had damaged the place for a certain reason, and they got closed down, and then it was done. But there's a lot of people that remember that, so I have this connection of memories with other puppeteers. And then locally, there was a show called Bumpity, which was basically a bump in it's the knoll of grass that would talk, and he had his little sidekick, Fred the Worm, that would always whisper to him, never would talk. And so that was a TV show that locally went around years ago. I saw a post that was asking about it. I'm like, someone else knows this. Not many people do. So you get excited about different things. But it was always from a kid. Why? I don't know. Easter's my favorite holiday. Some people, it's Christmas. What's the difference? I don't know. I just like this style. I've always loved animals.
I prefer Easter over Christmas too. No gift giving.
For me, I think a lot of it had to do with the hiding of the eggs, looking for stuff, the searching
yeah.
out and finding.
That's always fun.
But it was with family, And so anyway, but choosing holidays. Some people like cars, automotive. Some are, hunting. Some puppetry. It's the characteristics that we all find. The point is to find something you enjoy. Hobbies are so important because if you don't have a hobby when you're younger, wood carving, script writing, whatever, when you start getting into life and you have to survive, a lot of your hobbies get pushed aside.
Yeah,
and then you try to find the time, you have a family, a life, whatever the situation is going on, then you get to an age where you can slow down, retire hopefully. If you never had hobbies, what are you going to do then? I'm finding that out with some of my elderly relatives. You know, they did business all their life. They only know business. So now that they're no longer working, they don't know what to do. They're not into crafts. They're not into stuff, you know, certain things. So find the hobby. So for me, for some reason, puppetry is it. And when I got busy with life, I had put that on the shelf and did life. And life was kind of getting miserable in certain areas. And so I reached back and started doing some puppetry. And then I did 5 years with the church, did children's ministries, and that was my therapy. That Sunday was my therapy. It was acting with people, stories, testimonies, and then I was able to act with puppets. So we had a whole mix, and I went till I moved to Spokane. There, it continued at the location. But yeah, that was my fun. I realized I could never put it back on the shelf again. And then recently I went to a regional festival, met up with past friends that I had grown up with and in the area that did puppetry. And it's like now we connect online and Zoom meetings, and so I have to keep it going as I start to eventually look towards retirement. He talks a lot, you know that? I think we should talk. How about that?
Okay.
Let's give them a rest.
All right. So, with Born to Ride, who you repping?
Oh, it's just
Repping Sons of Sesame?
It's a Elmo leather jacket for Born to Ride. I was starting a program that we would go out and meet people and talk about the cool things they would do to help other kids to realize what fun things are out in the world. Yeah.
You gonna get out by hogs wearing a cut like that around here.
Do you know why Harley Davidson calls them hogs?
Why?
Well, see, you also had the Indian Motorcycle Company, and you had these races of motorcycles, and one guy that had a Harley Davidson crew, he had a pig. Yep, that was his pet pig. And he would ride around with the pet pig. So they got known as hogs. It's kind of a derogatory thing that they thought was awesome, so it became cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now I know. Fun facts.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Don't know much more about it, except
Oh,
that
well.
there's 2 wheels on a motorcycle, because if you put 3, then they're a trike.
Yeah. So, did you know that? What was his name? Man, what was his name? I forget his name. Yeah, I forget his name. Oh, Frank Oz. Frank Oz.
Oh, yes!
Yes,
Yeah.
the great and powerful Frank Oz. I learned a lot about him. I just learned that he was Yoda.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
See how good of an actor he is?
Yeah. In fact, I think Frank Oz was better than Jim Henson at puppetry.
They fed off each other so well. I actually met a gentleman who his wife is friends with the wife, Frank Oz, and he was actually invited over for a dinner, and he said it was so interesting to sit across the table from Yoda. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yoda, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear,
Yeah.
Gonzo, a
Yeah.
bunch of other ones.
But those two just, Frank Oz, heritage was loud, loud, boisterous, the family activities, where Jim Henson was more quiet. So it was kind of 2 different worlds that came together, and those two just fed off each other. And
For sure.
so that's what was so awesome.
Yeah, I know, and I liked how Jim Henson, he was definitely more into the TV aspect
Yes.
of it, in directing, screenwriting, and all that. And Frank Oz wrote some stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Oz wrote several movies, and he directed movies as well. So he's
talented.
a very talented guy. So it's just those interesting things I don't appreciate until later in life.
You don't realize what's happening. After a couple seasons of Muppets, Jerry Jewell came on as a writer, and I met him at a festival down in California, Monterey Regional Festival, and I was able to take a class of script writing with him. And at that time, I had a script, and had to do with magic, and I had a puppet that did a magic act, and I actually performed that with the Magic Club for shows. And he looked at his big thing was always surprise me, whatever you do, surprise me. And so he gave some hints and tips that he would suggest for the script that I had. But the biggest thing goes, what I think we should do is you should have the rabbit be the magician. He goes, that would that's different. I mean, now I have seen, well, my mind jumped to Adam the puppet nerd guy. He did. Anyway.
Well, cool. Let's
Plug
see
in.
what other ones you got.
Okay. Yeah, he's talking too much. Let's see if.
Wow.
I'm.
The axolotl's
Yeah.
cuter.
Oh, let me go get him. Hold on. Hey, Sprout.
He gets
Sprout!
the views. He gets the views. That's what. I don't get the views much. The data mole gets the views. Data mole gets all the attention. Oh, hey, there's axolotl.
Hi.
Oh, hello, axolotl.
Hello. Sprout. Yes, I'm an axolotl.
Sprout.
Sprout. Actually, I'm an axolotl.
Axolotl.
Yeah, because I'm not that big yet. Someday I'll be an
Oh,
axolotl.
yeah. You got that
Yeah.
big old tail and stuff. Well, cool. So, what sort of a script would you want to write for a puppet show?
Oh, well, I'm working on one, and we have it's actually kind of like a radio show,
Oh, cool.
and we have and the Worms are running it, and it's all about music. So we're trying to get that all worked out. So it's kind of grounded in its thoughts and uplifting with music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Well,
I should ask you questions
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
on how to do that.
oh, I got some really good ones. I got some great song generator thing I'll show you, and you can create all your custom music.
Oh, no, we're going to actually invite people who do their music to come on the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I'm all about that.
So,
yeah, getting live performers and just
Oh, yeah.
getting as much as you can.
Yeah, this is where we get to actually toot their horn, because if they were tooting their own horn, then they might look kind of prideful. But they're
Yeah.
cool people, so I want to be able to introduce them to the world and the listening audience and play some cool songs.
I think that's a great idea. So it's kind of like what would be the theme of the show?
Well, we would have the different people. You know, you have the station owner, and you have a DJ, and then you have a podcaster, and it all gets put together. And the thing is that no one really knows what's going on unless you actually see the video portion of it. Yeah,
That sounds like it could be a lot of great potential.
I think
for
there's a lot of
improv and
potential. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun, and you know, there's the situations where certain people just, well, they rub each other the wrong way, and so we kind of have to make sure that they do their job. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah. We've already talked about no staplers put in Jello molds.
That's a good one. That's from The Office.
Yeah, yeah.
Dwight. That's a great one. I love Dwight.
Oh, speaking about The Office,
Yes.
but the movie. Did you know that
What?
there was no red staplers for Swing Line until the movie was over?
I did not know that.
There was so many people that wanted a red stapler.
And I happen to have a red swing line.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, but they didn't make them, and so everybody wanted one after the movie was over. That Swing Line had to make a red stapler.
That's really fun facts.
So a movie inspired the traditions we all have today about a red stapler. Yeah.
Huh. Who'd have thought?
Also, well, this has nothing to do with puppetry, but the Love Boat. Have you seen the Love Boat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Long
The
time ago.
Love Boat. Da, da, da. Yeah, that one. It actually created the cruise industry.
No shit.
Yeah, so people went to there was cruising, and they would go, but there was not all the entertainment stuff. And people saw the TV show, then they went on booked a cruise, and then they complained because there was nobody like Julie or Captain Stubing, and it was very kind of just posh and nothing. And so the cruise line had to actually change what they do on their activities so people could actually enjoy what they seen. So how TV changed the environment of cruising today. Yeah.
Fun facts.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have an agent that talks all the time. You get to pick up on these things.
Well, good. You got a great agent. Who are the other people you work with?
Oh, that came with us today?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let me go see who's down there. I think they've eaten up all the Cheetos, though.
Oh.
Do you like Cheetos?
Oh, well, not anymore. They can. I moved on. When I was a kid, I liked Cheetos.
Okay. They're great for detective stories because they leave traces.
Oh, they do.
But the question is, do you like the puff ones or the crunch ones?
I like the puff.
The
but-
puff.
Well, you know what? No,
You
I like
think
the
about
flamin'. Yeah, I
Oh,
like
the-
the flamin' ones.
You think about that, and I'll go get
All right,
someone else.
Yeah, the puff ones kind of rough up the roof of my mouth. So I kind of like the I like the harder ones and the flamas, the Cheetos Flama ones, the spicy ones. Those are pretty good. I generally like those. Right now, my favorite chip is the Doritos Dynamita. Oh God, those are so good. Oh,
Hey, how's it going?
hey, we got the Grinch.
I don't know what's happening, but I was supposed to ask you a question when I came
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Are pineapples supposed to be on pizza or not?
I like them on pizza. I like the Canadian bacon pineapple pizza. I don't mind it. I'm one of those weirdos.
All right, because there's a camp out there that says that you should not have any pineapples on a pizza. And then you have the other camp that says, yes, you put them on. Kind of like dodgeball. Yeah, two sides, throwing things back and forth. I like it when they throw pizzas because then you get to be in the middle and you get full. Yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah.
That's a real good point.
Hard part's trying to find the two camps close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I eat a lot of pizza. I used to work for Domino's Pizza for a while as a pizza.
Ooh.
Yeah, as a pizza driver, it was a good time. Made a lot of money as a pizza driver.
Did you wear your hat when you delivered?
I did. Not this one. Not this one. No.
You
No.
can see, people can
It's
see
not-
it coming.
Yeah, yeah. This one. No, the doctor said I have to wear these out in public now.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't hurt myself.
Things kind of fall out of the sky randomly.
Yeah, or just fall.
Oh, not
I'm accident prone.
Okay, well, you know, it's
And I
good
have
to,
to wear OSHA approved.
good to be a
Helmet.
pro in something. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. I like your fuzz there. I like how
thank you.
fuzzy it all is. What shows have you starred in?
It was called. No, I just send text videos.
Oh, okay. Just one
Yeah.
of those. Yeah.
I've not found a camera to get in front of yet.
Do you have a talent?
I like eating pizza too.
Well, so you're like a pizza monster.
Each of us grobblers have a different flavor, but pizza's good.
Oh, you're a groveler?
A grobbler.
A groveler.
A grobbler.
Gotcha.
I am a grobbler.
So is that its own species?
Well, yeah, we're fuzzy monsters. That see, I'm a domesticated grobbler.
Ah.
Yeah, because a grobbler, the term means one who befriends one for food.
Oh.
But
okay.
you know, if you just get the food and run away, that's kind of rude. So, a domesticated grobbler, more civilized, we honor people and respect, and we hang around with our friends. So those that share, we know, can be good friends. They're honorable, and they have delicious things. I have a friend who likes ice cream. Each grobbler has a different food that they like. Yeah.
What
Do you like
planet
ice
are
cream?
you from? Are you from Earth or
Oh
what,
yeah. We're from here.
what species? Like you're a groveler species, so is that closely related to another animal species?
You know, it's kind of like how you have llamas and you have alpacas, and they're kind of cousins, but they are different, but they're the same, but not the same.
Do grovelers have rights? Like, do you have like basic human rights and
Oh,
stuff?
wait a minute, that's my left.
Ah,
That's my right over there. Yeah.
right hand. Yeah.
Yeah, we have rights.
You have
I have a right
rights?
toe.
Oh, okay.
A right leg.
Gotcha.
A right eye. I guess with my glasses on, I can say it's a private eye because you can't see it. So that means that I could be a what's the word for private eye?
Detective?
Oh, there we go. That's it. I will
Yeah,
be
that
a
one.
detective.
You would be a detective.
I could be a
A
detective.
pizza detective that grovels off other people's pizza and eats free pizza.
What happens when all the pepperoni are missing from a pizza and you didn't order cheese?
Well, that means they either A, got the wrong order, B, somebody ate all the pepperoni, or C, if it was me, I would get acid reflux. That's why I don't eat pepperoni.
Okay. So, did you accidentally make a pizza incorrectly so that way you'd be able to get a free cheese pizza?
Oh, at Domino's? No, we had so many pizzas. We had so many return pizzas that we'd throw them away in the dumpster at the end of the. I know.
That's sacrilegious.
I know. I gave away a lot. My dog, I'd take him home a meat lover's pizza every night. He started getting fat. We had so many. We have so much waste.
So if you ever see a dog that does not like pizza, it means its owner had actually worked at Domino's at one time or a pizza place. Sorry, don't mean to deny any certain kind of pizza establishment that makes yummy pizza.
Oh yeah, Domino's was a good time. You would have loved Domino's. You'd love working at. I love the Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, hey, you know what? I think you should order one up and we could try it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, have them. Oh yeah, we can wait till after closing and then just go hog out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go out.
Yeah.
Just hit up the dumpsters
Yeah,
before
you
the
got-
raccoons get to them.
Oh, yeah. Well, if we find a Tesla, then we can put it next to it, and the raccoons will get confused, thinking that's a garbage can, and then we can get the pizzas with your light.
Especially
Yeah.
if it's a Tesla truck.
Exactly.
Because that thing looks like a rolling dumpster.
Actually, there have been reports where raccoons have tried to break into them because they thought they were.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's a fact. I looked it up. I don't want Elon Musk to get mad at me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know the Teslas blow up if you crash them and you puncture the battery?
Well,
Fun
yeah.
facts.
Well, yeah. Even on TV, a car can go off a cliff and land in water and explode.
Huh.
Special effects.
Oh, yeah, on TV.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you basically, I guess, with a Tesla, you get special effects with it. No charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're charging you. You're paying.
Well,
But-
yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
so are you saying that the prices are explosive?
The prices are very explosive.
Yeah.
Lithium's very volatile when it reacts with water or any sort of open oxygen.
Oh, yeah, electric cars. Yeah.
Yep. That's-
Wait till you get a big EMP, and then all of a sudden everybody's just in a parking lot.
Yeah, I heard something like that. Like
Yeah.
you had to have vehicles like made in the 1970s or something just to be able to survive it.
Oh, the 1970s. Oh, yeah. My little let's see, was it not Hot Wheels? It was the trike. The
Oh, the little red.
Yeah.
Yeah, those red trikes. I remember those.
Yeah.
I had one
Can't
back
remember
in
the
the
name.
day. Yeah. It was. I want to say it was Red Rider, but it wasn't Red Rider.
Red Rider was a wagon.
Yeah, it was a wagon.
Yeah.
But
And have you been downtown Spokane?
oh yeah.
They got the Red Rider
Oh yeah,
slide.
that's right.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, it's
That's
cool.
a good idea. We should go down there and get some footage.
Go
someday.
slide down the
Go
slide.
down the slide.
Go
going
over to the
around
ice rink.
Ice rink.
Go see some plays over at the Civic
Exactly.
Theater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna make an episode one day of I was on loops for computers. We have loops. There's always loops, so I was gonna have some puppet do a thing where one puppet. The premise is they're going from the top story of the mall. It's 5 stories all the way down, so they're looping through each story while the other characters are looping through the ice skating rink, and then they all meet together at the carousel.
Oh, sounds like
Yeah.
a wonderful day.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be a really fun time to shoot if I can
Yeah.
pull the right people together to
There we go.
get it done.
I'll go play on the slide. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So I'll meet you there.
That'd be a fun one. Yeah, you're a pretty bright character. I bet you're more lovable than the other ones. But the axolotl, he was a good one.
Yeah, he's a cute little guy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you brought up a good point that I noticed too. That when where people will want to talk to the character more than you, which is, I'm not mad about it. I mean, I get it, but it's almost like, oh, you like this character more than me. You want to talk to me. But then again, it's almost like, oh, good. I'm glad you like my character more than me.
I think it comes down a little bit more to that two-dimensional again. It's like I can see that characters like I can talk with this. I feel that I still have the upper hand. But when I talk to someone, are they gonna get the upper hand over me? Are they gonna pull a fast one? Well, so there's always the skeptic. I don't want to say curiosity, but just trying to understand someone. Who are they? We're more three-dimensional, so puppets a little easier. Yeah.
True.
But when someone's put in a lot of time, especially a ventriloquist. They also want to be respected too, because they are part of the team. For me, I'm really never seen, so I never think about getting it, because my job is to make sure they learn their lines and they get there on time, and then I just hide in the back corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're out there talking, you're like, I've put a lot of time into my art. I'd like to be acknowledged more than just my buddy who follows my cues.
Well,
Yeah.
talk about the puppet group you've been starting up and how long you've been doing that.
So originally in 2000, because I moved to Spokane in the winter of '99, I was part of the Columbia Association of Puppeteers, which was in Portland. And so I wanted to continue doing puppetry. So I created the Inland Northwest Puppeteers Guild. But I didn't have a lot of people that were wanting to be part of it. Some of the churches were affiliated with other puppet organizations where they would buy material from, and we're good with that. And I'm like, well, don't you want to practice and play with other people in town? But I couldn't really get a full, couldn't get interest in a sense. I was trying to get enough people to make a charter to have a group for Puppeteers of America. I did sign up and was able to be the regional director for Puppeteers of America for the Pacific Northwest region, which allowed me to continue to have contact with my friends in Portland, Willamette Valley, Seattle, Vancouver, BC, Montana. There were some different guilds that were there. So in 2003, we had the Regional Puppet Festival here on Gonzaga's campus. And we
Nice.
had Eugene Gimmelfarb, who was from Ukraine. The year prior, he had come over as a Fulbright grant faculty to Gonzaga and did The Little Prince. So I was able to talk with him and sent a letter to the Odessa Puppet Theater in Odessa, Ukraine. And the government of Ukraine actually flew that team over to Seattle. My job was to pick them up in Seattle, bring them to Spokane at the festival, feed them, house them, and then bring them back to Seattle, and they would fly home. So it was great. It was wonderful having them, and we had other people from around the region, and there was somebody I think came from Texas. Anyway, they'd come up and performed. Anyway, that was so I was the regional director at that time. But then, like I said, there wasn't a lot of local interest. Patrick Treadway was kind of known for a lot of the puppeteering in this area. I met him only a few times. Did a Christmas in Wales, and he did some puppetry stuff at that Civic Theater in 2006-07 era. Anyway, with like I said, 2 years ago we had a regional festival just south of Salem, Oregon. I went back to see some friends just to kind of see where things were at and what was happening with puppetry, and I kind of was rejuvenated and realized I really need to keep playing with this. This was fun. So because of that, I need to get the Inland Northwest Puppeteers Guild going. Now that we have the internet and we can connect with people, I can actually bring my friends to teach over online to a group of people in Spokane that want to learn. I can be the hands and feet, and all they have to do is talk and share, and then we can continue the different styles of puppetry. And my ultimate goal is to eventually have another regional festival here in Spokane, because it seems like
That'd be
there's more
fun.
interest. So
That'd be a lot of fun.
that's what I'm working for. So I've had, so this year, starting up the meetings, working with Civic Theater right now. We're able to use their lobby to do a workshop, and then the end of February we'll do another workshop, and plan on having once a month meetings to show different styles of puppetry, and then see who's all interested, and then try to get the guild formatted.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm losing words. You're just talking too much, that's why, yeah. And get the interest going, so we can have some puppetry, and some of the plays around have been doing more puppetry in it. And anyway, so the Inland Northwest Puppeteers Guild is trying to get that formed to become a charter member of Puppeteers of America, and also there's other organizations nationwide, and so it's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's
Well, nice.
That's why we're here, yeah.
Well, nice. I'm sure you got, we're running low on time now. We're almost at an hour.
The batteries,
30.
I think, are almost out, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got about 30 seconds. Well, either way, let's go for book suggestions.
Book suggestions.
And yeah, so what are you thinking book suggestions
Oh.
for the readers, for the audience?
As I mentioned, Jim Henson, he was interested in television, didn't know much about puppetry, checked out books at library, and look how far he took until, life took him away from us too soon. So puppetry, I'm going to say start with the library. There's so much out there, kind of library's old school, so it's easy to jump online. But there's some programs. Just find your style. Is it rod puppet? Is it hand and mouth puppet? Marionettes? Shadow puppetry? Which is the fun? What one do you want to learn about first? But that's why we have a festival, so we can get that going, so we can give a big demonstration, and have a list of books available for those that want to learn more too.
Nice. I like that. All right. Well, cool. And then the last but not least, where can people find you?
Where can you find me? That's what we're working on. I have to get the webpage up and get things going. But currently you can email me at snehpetsstudio@gmail.com. So that's snehpets.studio, studio, @gmail.com. And we can get information there to the guild people. Right now I don't have a webpage yet, but we're working on it. That's this. We've had a family situation that has slowed us down. But we're staying on track, and we will get things going.
Yeah, no worries. So, and I'll put all the link in the video description below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast as much as I did with Doug and all of his great cast and crew that has came to bless us today. I hope you guys be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, leave all questions in the comments below, smash that bell, share this, because sharing is caring, and I'll see you guys next time.
Woohoo! Yeah!
That a Mine and Mike podcast that you like.